What? You thought I was done talking about the XXL class? The thing that got me my first audience boost? Come on, be real. But seeing the views in their most recent class, the fries are approaching the bag at a very fast pace, so let's make this quick. The XXL freshman class is an annual snapshot of the current up-and-coming rappers for a specific year, with multiple covers having bona fide rap icons stamped on it. So I thought it'd be fun to look back at these lists and the albums created by the XXL alumni. I'll talk about my favorite album from each class, as well as throwing in some honorable mentions. And make sure to let me know in the comments which ones you picked as well. And starting with the inaugural list, 2007's XXL freshman class, which is interesting to look at. You see half of Slaughterhouse. I see Crooked Eye there and Joel Ortiz. Boosie on the far left, as well as Plies at the top, Young Dro. But the most glaring obvious choice for anything we're talking about best here is, of course, going to be Lupe Fiasco. So this would be 2007. This would be around the time The Cool released his second album. I mean, he's already been working with Kanye and Jay-Z at this point. Kind of had that pop rap crossover where he had a lot of food for thought, but he had a lot of like approachable songs as well. As an honorable mention though, I'll pick the Plies album, The Real Testament. Had some, old school 2000s hits on it, I guess. But my pick for the best album out of the 2007 XXL freshman class is going to be Lupe Fiasco's Tetsuo and Youth. But I could see you picking Food and Liquor here, or even his second album. I'm sure Crooked Eye has like a decent album somewhere in there too. And now moving to the 2009 class, which had these weird separated magazine covers, I guess. But still, some massive rappers on this. I see Wale, B.O.B's there, Ace Hood had hits, Currency's there, Kid Cudi, Corey Guns, Blue. There's some pretty good rappers on here. They kind of did nail the prognosis of this, because someone like Kid Cudi really did blow up after this. My honorable mention album here is gonna be Wale's The Album About Nothing. I still think that's Wale's best project. Very consistent, very chill, also quite mature. It's just kind of like memorable, I guess, for me. And then for the best album, you can go kind of multiple ways here. My first mention is Blues Below the Heavens. Underrated project, not a lot of people talk about it anymore, but just some really high level rapping on there. And you could go Kid Cudi for like Kids See Ghosts. If that doesn't count, then I would pick Indie Cuddy's Kid Cudi's album, but yeah, one of those would definitely work. And after this is where I think the XXL class really hit its golden era. Starting with the 2010 XXL list. Bro, look at this list. You see J. Cole, you see Nipsey, you see Wiz Khalifa, you see Freddie Gibbs looking exactly the same. This man doesn't age. Big Sean and J-Rock. So many huge, massive, successful, talented rappers on this list. I'm pretty sure at the time of this album releasing, Wiz was by far the most successful rapper on this list. Also, you gotta mention this was around the internet age really taking over hip-hop, and Nipsey was definitely at the forefront of this. For honorable mention though, oh, this is tough. There's a lot of great projects here. I had to pick two, which would be J-Rock's 90059, my favorite album from J-Rock. It's such a nice, concise, of course West Coast inspired, but it was such a modern take on a gangster rap record. I loved it. And J. Cole's The Off Season. I recently said in a video that's my favorite Cole album, and I'm still sticking by that. But I think by far the best project released by anyone here is Freddie Gibbs' Pinata. And you can mention a couple of Freddie projects here, but Pinata is that album. Great storytelling, great rapping. Of course, the production by Madlib is unmatched. And it's one of those many albums that just get better with time. And the golden era, man, it continues into the 2011 XXL freshman class. You had Meek Mill, Sci-Hi, Big Crit, Yellow Wolf, Mac Miller, YG, Lil B, Kendrick, of course, continuing with that internet dominance and influence that Lil B was definitely running with. But this one was different. It was very easy to pick the best album, but kind of tough to pick the honorable mentions because there's so many great ones. I ended up picking three. Mac Miller's mixtape Faces, one of the best mixtapes ever. One of the only 20+ track projects that really doesn't feel like it. YG's My Crazy Life, such an underrated West Coast project. I would call that a classic album. I could see you going with Still Brazy too. That's another great project, but My Crazy Life really spoke to me somehow. And this might be a hot take, but I think Meek Mill's Championships is a great project. There's a lot of duds on it too, of course, but there's some really high highs, some of his best tracks on there. A shout out to Big Crit's mixtape run too. And the obvious choice for best album here is Kendrick Lamar. You could go with Good Kid, Mad City, you could go with T-Pab, you could go with Damn, anything really. I think lately I've been returning to Good Kid, Mad City the most. Obviously T-Pab is the best in like a structural and a musical and an impactful way, and Damn is just getting better with time, honestly. Which leads us to the 2012 XXL freshman class, which is so cursed when you look at it. You really got French Montana wearing a teddy bear on the front next to Future and Danny Brown, and Hobson trying to kill Iggy Azalea with a golden brick. And this is the class where you also have people like MGK and Macklemore on it. Definitely a mixed bag class. There's only really two people here you can pick great albums from, which are Future and Danny Brown. I ended up going with Future for the honorable mention with DS2 on one of the most quintessential trap albums. I've said that many times. Such a hypnotic, intoxicating listen. Great project. Metro Boomin really got his footing on there. And speaking of Metro, I think We Don't Trust You is climbing up the charts for the best future project as well. But the best album anyone here has made is Danny Brown's Atrocity Exhibition. Insane project. Such a tough project to get into, but once you really like crack through it, you just fall in love with how vivid, how open, how honest the project is, and how it doesn't sound like anything else you've ever heard. Leading us to 2013's class, and honestly one of the best ones still. You had people like Joey Badass, Ab-Soul, Trinidad James, Dizzy Wright, Logic, Schoolboy Q, Travis Scott, Action Bronson. I do see that they have included Chief Keef on this list too. That's interesting. My honorable mentions for this one were kind of tough, man. There's a lot of great albums here you could pick honorable mentions from. I decided to go with Schoolboy Q's Oxymoron. Genuinely a life-changing album for me. Really helped me through a lot, really taught me a lot. Great project. As well as Ab-Soul's Control System. Still Soul's best projects, but very, very impactful and very memorable. Such a unique project. As well as another one I talked about recently, Before the Money by Joey Badass. One of the best debut projects ever. Such an underrated project. And shout out to Logic's Incredible True Story, man. I love that project and meant a lot to me when it dropped as well. The mid-2010s era was so peak. But the best album that anyone here has made is gonna go to Travis Scott for Rodeo. I hate how that's become like a TikTok taste normie pick thing. Rodeo really was envelope pushing for its time. It really didn't sound like anything for the most part. Yeah, of course it had those trap influences, very Atlanta inspired, but Travis mixing in the Houston sound and really making it a hypnotic, one-of-a-kind experience was something to behold. Yeah, definitely an incredible project that still stands the test of time. And around the 2014 era, we start to see XXL get a little bit shaky. This list was not too bad though. You had Isaiah Rashad on it, Chance the Rapper, Kevin Gates, Rich Homie, rest in peace, Lil Durk, even Ty Dolla $ign. And my honorable mentions for this one are Ty Dolla $ign's Free TC, one of the best pop rap West Coast albums, really flew under a lot of people's radar. It has some hits on it, but there's some deeper cuts on it that are super catchy. Really seeing Ty in his R&B bag that he needs to go back to. And I'm gonna say Isaiah Rashad's Son's Tirade's gonna go in here. It's a project I used to not be able to get through a day without listening to. I think the more mature approach on his last album really made me kind of realize the flaws in the Son's Tirade, but still a fantastic listen. And this might be a hot take, but I think I'm picking Chance's Coloring Book as the best project here. You could go Acid Rap too, but Coloring Book felt like a more complete listen, really delving into all the different kind of like storylines from his life, from his upbringing, as well as the religious aspect to it, and some great collabs and features on there, especially like with Kanye, with Future, the Bieber track. And now we're at the 2015 XXL class. This is the first one they released where I genuinely didn't recognize about half of it when it dropped. I always talk about this when I get to the 2015 class, but Kid's on this class. Kid. You know where I know Kid from? His feature on the 2008 Grammy-winning album, The Carter 3. Why is he on a freshman list 7 years after that? I don't know. But anyway, you got some other people like K-Camp on here, OG Macro, rest in peace. You got Fetty Wap, you got Rory, Vince Staples, of course, Gold Link, Shia Glizzy. Weird class, but very obvious picks here for honorable mention. I had to put Fetty Wap's debut album, his self-titled album. People make fun of me for this, man, but like life is so fucking shitty already. You kind of just have to have that fun, catchy, memorable pop rap music sometimes. And this album had so many hits stacked next to each other. It's a great project. And the best album that came out of this freshman list is Big Fish Theory by Vince Staples. What a risk that paid off for Vince. No one expected this from him, especially not the electronic sounds that came into this. But yeah, this album is memorable. It's concise, but so, explosive and vibrant. I love it. And then XXL did something interesting in 2016. This is a complete theory. I have no insight on this, but I think they really went full on with like, let's not listen to what labels want us to do and just go off what the internet is saying. Because in 2016, they completely nailed it. Outside of maybe like one or two picks, these were the guys to listen to. You got Lil Yachty, Designer, Lil Dicky, Lil Uzi Vert, Kodak, Anderson .Paak, 21 Savage, Denzel Curry. Like on average, this might be the most successful class. Like there's the most average streams per rapper here. And album wise, a lot of great projects released between these guys. My honorable mentions are going to Lil Yachty's Let's Start Here. Not a rap project, but man, what a whiplash. It's just still incredible how this worked out as well as it did. I mean, Yachty was definitely the tastemaker here, but shout out to his collaborators for keeping everything together. What a great, colorful project. I know people that don't even like Yachty's rap music, but they like this album. And another honorable mention is Anderson .Paak's Oxnard. You get the best of Anderson here. You get the more hip-hop tracks, the more R&B tracks, a lot of like that you know, positive, vibrant energy that he always gives off, as well as the insight on the areas that he's explored when he was younger. And my best album pick for the 2016 class is gonna be Denzel Curry's Imperial. A lot of you will probably go with Taboo. A lot of you will probably go with Melt My Eyes, but Imperial was that album, and it still is that album. It's such a dark project where Denzel just seems like he's emerging out of this like Florida scene, and I guess just the Florida lifestyle where he grew up in, and shaking off all these preconceived notions and just being himself. I think I really appreciated that. Just a great album, man. Leading us to my favorite XXL class, not because of the composition, mostly for the actual cover. It looks really great. Everyone wearing black on the red. Super good. A very interesting selection here with A Boogie, X, PNB, Ugly God, Playboi Carti, Amine, Kyle. They went all over the place with this one. Anyway, this one's probably interesting for the very different, you know, career trajectories we've seen. We've seen Kyle with like a multi-platinum song. We've seen Ugly God disappear pretty much. The untimely demises of PNB Rock and X. But album-wise, a lot of quality projects that came out of this list. My honorable mention is gonna be Playboi Carti's Whole Lotta Red. I completely understand if you're picking Dilate here. It's definitely a more concise project, definitely an easier one to get through. But something about the rawness and Carti really not giving a shit on Whole Lotta Red is super enticing to me. Tantalizing, you might say. Hearing the singles and Lucy's that are for his upcoming project really don't make me as excited, but Whole Lotta Red was definitely a moment in history. And the best project to come out of anyone here, in my opinion, is gonna be Amine's Limbo. Amine really came on a scene as kind of like a jokey, cartoony, self-aware rapper with a lot of tongue-in-cheek kind of jokes about himself, and if we're being honest, pretty corny. Like, I love Caroline as much as the next guy, but some of the other songs on the album, no. But then with 1.5 and eventually Limbo, the maturity of Amine came up to the surface, and the backstory of his youth and his upbringing and his family really came to the forefront. Great rapping, great beats, underrated project. I know you haven't listened to it, so go check it out. Leading us to 2018, which might be the sign of the downfall for XXL, because what the hell is this list? I feel like they tried to recreate 2016 with this one, with Ski Mask, Lil Pump, Smoke Perk, Block Boy, YB and Amir, Trippie Redd, of course JID's on there too. What a weird list, what a rough list with some of the worst ciphers on it. On first glance, you might think you don't have a lot to work with album-wise here, but my honorable mention here is gonna be Trippie Redd's Life's a Trip. I think this was back before Trippie really fried his vocals with screaming all the time, and he was really leaning into that whining, wailing vocal register. I know it was very Young Thug inspired, but it was super like ethereal, very cool to listen to. But the best project here, obviously, it's gonna be Bzzzt, The Forever Story. It's an album that's slowly growing on me across the time. I wasn't immediate to call it a classic like everyone else did, I feel, but such a consistent, great, solid project. No one here is rapping the level of Bzzzt, of course, not that Blockboy JB's even trying. But yeah, that was an obvious pick, leading us to the 2019 class, which was also such a weird mixed bag when you look at it. You got Rico Nasty between Lil Mosey and Gunna. You had YK Osiris here, as well as DaBaby, Tierra Whack, Megan Thee Stallion, Corday's there too, as well as Blueface, and my guy Roddy Ricch, which we'll get to soon. Some solid projects all around here. I fuck with what Rico's doing. I like what Megan's doing for the most part. I was a big DaBaby fan when he first came out. I thought he was pretty unique and refreshing. I don't think his albums really stood the test of time, and his recent stuff isn't as great. And my honorable mention is gonna go to like a pretty fresh album here. It's gonna go to Corday's Crossroads. I think Corday really tapped into some great beats here and kind of a reflective, introspective stream of consciousness, I guess. Super honest. I mean, you've kind of seen the headlines within what's going on in the back, so a lot of that stuff's definitely influencing his music. I think he's so close to making like a really fantastic project, but I enjoyed Crossroads quite a bit. And pretty comfortably looking at it, the best album in this list is gonna be Roddy Ricch's Please Excuse Me for Being Antisocial. People hate me for this take, but I think this is still the trap equivalent to Good Kid, Mad City. It's just some of the storytelling and the upbringings between Kendrick and Roddy are super, similar. The gang ties, the religious aspects, there's kind of like a lot of that. Someone with more time should make a video comparing those two, so yeah. And now we're in the current decade with the 2020 XXL class, which came out during the pandemic. An interesting selection here. You have people like Lotto, Rod Wave, Fabio Foreign, Polo G, Lil Keed, rest in peace, and Baby Keem, as well as Jack Harlow. Some promising names here. I forgot to mention Annalie Choppa too, who's like huge. Some really good ciphers that came out of this one too. I'm a pretty big fan of the videos and how they did these. I might catch some flack for this, but my honorable mention project is gonna be Jack Harlow's mixtape Confetti. I was a really big Jack fan when he first came up. I remember my friend showing me on Spotify when he had like 100,000 monthly listeners. This was around the time that his mixtape Loose dropped, but Confetti was really, super catchy to me. I really liked the beats he was rapping on super, you know, clips, Neptunes inspired production. Kind of minimalistic, but I just like the charisma Jack was bringing on most songs there. Still love that project. I don't think he's matched it since. But my favorite project out of these, we're gonna pick the same person. It's gonna be Baby Keem. And where you're picking the melodic blue, I'm going with Die For My Bitch. The rawness of Die For My Bitch. And I think what I like the most out of that project is the way the vocals were recorded. The super yelpy delivery with the reverb on the vocals sounded so good to me. Very raw. Love that project. And can't wait for a new Baby Keem project because it's about to be 4 years since his last one. And now we enter the 2021 class. I don't think I've heard a single full-length project from any of these people. I actually tweeted this as well, and then people reminded me, yeah, Flo Milli and Blast are pretty notable. I've liked some Flo Milli features and tracks. I guess she could go in honorable mention. Really liked a couple Blast singles, so maybe he should go into best album. I should probably check those out. Not to be that guy, but I'm not really interested in Coi Leray's music, and especially not Ruby Rose's music, but yeah. And now we're in the 2022 class, which was kind of prophetic for one main reason. But you had people like Cochise on here, Saucy Santana, Babyface Race here, the upcoming rapper Sofego. But obviously the big one here is Doechii. I heard about Doechii in 2021 for the first time on Isaiah Rashad's The House Is Burning. Loved her feature there. But then she really started warming up around this time. But no one here really stood out. This is a generally horrible list. Like the cypher sucked, the freestyle sucked. I don't recall any of it as good. So I guess my honorable mention will be Babytron's Bin Reaper 3 project. Again, this is kind of a tough pick because I don't really love any albums from here. Project wise, I guess we're going with Bin Reaper 3. But the easiest pick for best project here is gonna go to Doechii's Alligator Bites Never Heal. Even though I really don't think that's the best album of last year, like many people are saying. There's a lot of variety on it, sure, but a lot of duds on there as well. But like I've said before, she was kind of like throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. And a lot of it did stick, clearly, like the type of songs like The Nile is a River or Catfish or Boiled Peanuts. Excited for what Doechii has coming up, but yeah, definitely the best project out of this list. And now we're at 2023. I honestly, the best one so far in the 2020s is the 2021. There's some potential on it. Glorilla's on here, Rob 49, Friday, Too Rare. You also had Central C on here, as well as La Tyler and Tia Corinne, and DC the Don, who honestly I heard so much about around this time and then never heard from him again. I'm personally really excited for whatever Tia Corinne has coming up. Her feature on Denzel Curry's project was super great. One of my favorite of last year. Not too much to pick from here, unfortunately. The two biggest people going into this list were Glorilla and Central C, and probably the two people that are really big from this list nowadays are also Glorilla and Central C, so they really didn't do much here. So my honorable mention is gonna go to the Glorilla album Glorious. Honestly, for her debut album, not that bad. It really falls off in the second half, as I recall, but some really catchy hits on it. And the best project here is one of the more hated projects from this current year, Central C's Can't Rush Greatness. I just like the way this guy raps. I like his tone, I like his delivery, I like his flow, I like his beat choices. I know he's not saying much, man, but I just like it, so I guess that's my pick. Also, you guys remember when Boston Richie was rapping on this cypher and talking about like fucking his cousin or something?
Always been a freaky jet trying to fuck my cousin out of the cover.
And we've reached the most recent XXL freshman class. Bro, I'm not trying to be mean, but this is by far the worst one they've ever made.
Told my uncle I want to rap. He told me that was just a dream.
I deserve it.
Just selection wise, like he went with some viral picks, but a lot of nothing as well. And just cover wise, I hate it. I hate the colors on this. Did they even have like a memo, you know, outfit wise for this? Did they even try? Probably not. Look at the views in the most recent ciphers, man. No one's watching this shit anymore. Pretty comfortably, there's only two people here that I really enjoy, which are my honorable mention, Big X the Plug with his album Take Care. Actually pretty pleased with this project. A lot of similar sounding tracks on it. His flow is pretty one note. But he can get pretty honest and very, you know, descriptive and imagery provoking with his lyrics. So I guess I appreciate that. Also, you can't go wrong with a lot of like knocking Southern beats. And the best project released by anyone here is Texas Technician by That Mexican OT. Love OT's delivery, love his flow. Super, you know, pays homage to the music that raised him from Texas. I'm pretty sure it had like a Zero feature on it. A lot of like chopped and screwed type songs. Just very fun stuff. Kind of goes to show that Southern rap music is always gonna stick around no matter what, whether it's from Atlanta or from Houston or wherever. But yeah, those were my picks for the best album of each XXL freshman class. We really started dropping in quality near the end there. I hope they pick things up for the 2025 class, but like, dude, I'm literally what's the buzz? I don't even know what's promising anymore in terms of the up and coming rappers. What, like we're going with 2 Hollis. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the long form video. Make sure to subscribe and stuff. Bye bye.